Hey everybody, and welcome for coming on. This is Jessica Porter with Not Your Normal Book Club and Cross Reviews, and today we have It is Taran, right?
It's Taran, like
Taran.
Rise of Taran.
Okay, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce your last name then. Author of the Novice, which I have right here. It's not going to show me the pretty cover.
That's okay, I can hold one up. So here's the English version. It's got a slightly different font on the front, but it looks pretty much like this.
That looks nice.
Thanks.
My food delivery finally showed up. Late. All right. Well, today we're going to be talking about the Novice, and we've got a whole bunch of questions. And as you can see, for this show, I am in costume for a change. I have something to match. Woohoo. So, well, you can come on here and you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your book. And I'm going to go off camera over here and eat some of my sandwich. All right. So
Okay.
There you go.
So my book is called The Novice, as Jessica said, and my name is Taran Matharu. I started writing it for National Novel Writing Month, where you try and write 50,000 words in 1 month. And I started sharing it online on a website called Wattpad. And by the end of my first month, it had hit 100,000 reads. After 4 months, it had hit 1 million reads. And once it hit 1 million reads, I started getting in touch with agents, and the book eventually was traditionally published. And the book is about an orphan boy who discovers he has the ability to summon demons and goes to a military academy to learn how to control his powers and become a battlemage in the war against the Orcs. So there's elves, there's dwarves, there's demons. The main character, his name's Fletcher. He has a demon, which is a salamander demon, which is kind of like a little wingless dragon that likes to hang out on his shoulder. There's a lot of intrigue and politics and racial tension, and there's a big kind of tournament at the end, which is the climax. So yeah, I guess that's a taster of what the book's about.
All right. Let's see. Sorry, they were saying that they had problems with commenting on YouTube, and I have no idea how to fix that. Well, guys, if you're having problems with YouTube to comment because it tells me that comments are disabled, if you go to Google Plus, the link is on the Facebook page. You can do it there because I have no idea how to fix that. No clue whatsoever. All right, well, we will get into questions. I did not know that that was a Wattpad thing. Normally on the books and stuff, when we get them, it'll say, it's a Wattpad sensation and stuff like that if it was originally from there. So that's really awesome.
I'm back!
Oh, thank you. Woo! Hello, Karen.
Hello, sorry about that. I had a hell of a time getting back on.
Yeah, we had Karen for a little bit earlier, and then we lost her, but she's back now.
Woohoo! Book club people! Okay, so for the first question that had come up, which actually I was wondering as well, is why did you choose to have his demon being a salamander?
That's a good question. I don't know. I've always thought that salamanders were kind of cool. I like the way they look. I like that they can breathe fire. I think that, I don't know, it's kind of like a dragon, but not crazy powerful. If you had a dragon as a pet, I think you'd be pretty overpowered. So I guess it's kind of a way of having a dragon without being a super powerful warrior, I guess. Yeah, I've always thought salamanders were kind of cool. The mythology behind them is interesting. So yeah, I just thought, yeah, salamander would work really well for Fletcher. But there's loads of other types of demons as well. And actually, in book 2, Fletcher gets a new demon. Spoilers. And yeah, there's but there's loads of different types of demons as well in the book. But yeah, salamanders, I've got a kind of special place in my heart for them.
All right. So Jan, I was wrong completely. I've been pagan for over 20 years, and that's one of the things that I really liked about the book, that all their demons and stuff was very closely related to the elementals for each element. So, and that's what the salamanders are, so I thought that was really interesting. But I was wrong. The next question is, the cover is very eye-catching. What inspired it?
So when I was kind of posting the book on Wattpad, I found this artist called Malgorzata Gruska. I've been working with her before on other book projects that I've been having fun with, where I kind of sent her some descriptions and she put together some concept art for me. And I decided, yeah, she can, she's great, maybe she can design my cover. So I actually designed the cover myself with the artist, and it was what was on Wattpad. The background was slightly different in terms of what was on Wattpad, but I designed it with her. And I've always liked the idea of kind of being able to see all the kind of items that the main character has on the cover, so that when you're reading it, you can kind of flick to the front and be like, oh, so that's what that is, or like, that's what that is. And as you read the book, you'll see like, oh, that's where he gets that, and that's why he has that kind of sword, and that's why he's got that, that little salamander on his shoulder and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, there was lots of inspirations. I looked at a lot of different video games. I mean, Fletcher was always going to have a hood. A lot of people think it's inspired by Assassin's Creed, and when I was typing in like kind of hooded figures as reference images for the artist, I definitely like found a few Assassin's Creed ones, but it wasn't like, oh, I want to copy Assassin's Creed. And yeah, the sword is a really cool sword. It's called a Khopesh, and I just wanted to make sure that you get all of Fletcher's items into the front cover. And just a really good stance, and also like kind of simple. I like how it's just him and his demon, and then the background, it's cool, but it doesn't kind of take away from him kind of taking center stage in the front cover. Now with the second front cover, which was revealed recently for the sequel, The Inquisition, we kind of followed the same thing, which showed Fletcher, showed some of the new items that he has, and new clothing that he wears, and kind of the environment that he's in. But we kind of tried to have him as a central figure, and I got to have some input there as well, which is really cool. And it's the same artist, Malgorzata. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And is it the same artist for the third one as well?
Yes, hopefully. I mean, she's agreed to do it. But we haven't started designing it yet because I'm in the process of writing book 3. But I already know like what color the background's going to be, like what's going to be the background. Sorry?
Is it purple?
No, I can't say yet. I asked people to guess on Instagram, and after like the first kind of 5 or 6 guesses, someone guessed it. So it's one of like 3 colors. But I can't give it away. I can't.
So check out Instagram if you want an idea.
Yeah, you'll get like 3.
No, I looked and I thought I figured it out, but I guess not.
I mean, it could be purple. You never know. I'm not gonna give anything away. I'm not gonna say yes or no.
Okay.
Well, I am definitely one of the ones where I actually had it saved on my phone, the cover, so I would like switch back and forth between my iPad and my phone to look at the cover to correspond with what was happening in the book for items. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I think one of the differences between the American cover and the English cover, other than the font, is that Fletcher doesn't have a pistol in the American version. Yeah, so the English version has that. I don't really know. I think that I asked for it to be removed on the American version just because he doesn't actually get a pistol, at least not in the one. So, but the English guys were kind of like, yeah, but it kind of gives you an idea of the era that he's in. Like it's, they have those kind of pirate type pistols, and I thought, yeah, that's cool as well. So we'll leave it in for the UK version. So yeah, I guess that's one difference.
Well, looking at the itty bitty little cover right there, because it actually doesn't come up on the book. No, I don't see any guns there.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see the English one, but there's like a gun tucked into his waistband just there.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Yeah. But he has a gun in the Inquisition's cover, so it does appear later.
The next question is: do you have a day job or are you a full-time author?
So I'm a full-time author. I pay my bills by writing, which is pretty awesome. I'm very lucky. Most authors aren't able to do that. I'm just very fortunate that my book has sold well, and so many publishers from around the world were interested in it. I do sometimes go and do school visits, which are, I volunteer sometimes, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes they pay me to go, and so sometimes I supplement my income that way. I work with like charities to help improve literacy levels in certain schools, for example, which is kind of fun. But yeah, that's kind of it. I mainly write for a living.
So, like, off the top of your head, do you know how many books that you've sold worldwide so far?
I cannot answer that question. I just can't. It's my publishers would not be happy, but
Okay.
it's enough for me to make a living off for sure.
Nice.
And I've definitely sold as well or better than what was predicted. I think is all I can say really. So it's been going well. I mean, I because I studied business and it's my living, I do keep track of this kind of stuff, and I'm happy with how it's been selling and the response that people have been giving me. And I try and give back to the fans by, so for example, I wrote a free prequel called Summoner Origins, which I could have sold to the publishers, but I said no, I want it to be free. I want people to be able to read it as a thank you to my fans, because there were so many people who had been reading it on Wattpad. And then I said to them, look, you're going to have to buy it if you want to read the second half of the book. And a lot of them were okay with that because I told them from the beginning that that was my dream and that was what I was trying to do by writing it on Wattpad. So actually, almost everyone was okay with it. A few people were a bit grumpy. So I wrote Summoner Origins as a thank you. So I do that stuff as well. But yeah, it's been pretty good so far. Is all I can really say.
Do you know how many languages it's been translated into?
Yes, 11 languages.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, loads.
Amazing.
Wow,
Yeah, so-
congratulations. That's phenomenal.
Oh,
That
thank you very
That's
much.
really
Taran.
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, and I get like there's like a Bulgarian edition. There's like
Wow.
a Taiwan edition. There's a German edition, a Spanish edition. The Polish publishers are amazing. They do all these really cool things. They print so the Polish publishers printed all these 3D printed models and left them all over Warsaw, the capital city, with like a
That's so
hashtag
cool.
on them. That was really interesting. I worked with the American and British publishers to make like crochet dolls of like the demons. So that's Solomon there. That's Ignatius,
Oh
which is kind of cool. And then in Brazil, they flew me out to go to a festival there, and I'm half Brazilian, so I got to see my family while I was out there. That was pretty awesome. Yeah, Spain. I designed a map with the Spanish publishers recently, and the Spanish edition comes out this year. So yeah, actually, it hasn't like been released in all the countries that it's been translated and sold into. So the French edition hasn't come out yet, the German edition hasn't come out yet, but they will be coming out soon.
Oh, wow. All right. The next question is, are you going to have a demon character book that will have drawings and descriptions of the various demons?
So yeah, like this is something that I've wanted to do, and it's totally kind of up to the publishers if they want to do that or not, depending on kind of if they're which territories they're in. So the UK publishers, I work together with them to do a demonology, which is here, which is kind of cool. So in the back of the paperback of the British edition, there'll be like illustrations of the different demons. Sorry, I don't know if you can see.
That is so cool.
That
Like
is
the
awesome.
weapons. And so there's Ignatius the salamander, and his kind of stats and stuff. So that's in the British edition, and I'm not sure if the American. That's only because I live in the UK, so I get to go into the offices and work with the artists a lot. I get to speak to the artists and negotiate, talk with the publishers about it. I don't know if the American publishers are planning on doing it. We're doing some really cool stuff which I can't talk about, so there might be a demonology in the future. We'll just have to see.
Well, I hope it's in the paperback version here because I want that. That is so cool.
Yeah, the paperback in the UK is launching several months before the US version as well. So it's just too early to tell what's going to be in the American edition anyway. So, but the American publishers are really cool. They do loads of really interesting stuff with me, and hopefully we'll be releasing some cool additional stuff. Like there's a short story that the American publishers will be releasing soon, which is about Othello and how he ended up going to Vulcans. So yeah, there's some cool stuff coming as well.
I think a cool thing also would my one daughter, she wants a coloring book.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question is, how many books do you have planned for the summer series?
So I'm contracted for 3. It's technically a trilogy, but I asked them to not put that it's a trilogy on the book because you never know if you want to expand it or not. I like to leave that option. At the moment, I'm writing it as if it will be a trilogy, but you never know what might happen. I might finish the 3rd book, and that will kind of end the arc, and then you never know. I might start a new arc and start a new kind of series in that world, perhaps. Maybe with the same characters, maybe with different characters. But at the moment, really, it's planned to be 3 books. But you know, it's not definitely just 3, but it will be at least 3. I guess is the answer.
Now that you're a published author, will you still be sharing things on Wattpad?
Yes. So currently, I'm writing a blog that I put stuff on Wattpad. So I put some of my interviews on there. I put some of my thoughts on I put writing advice on there. I share short stories on there. I can't put books in their entirety on Wattpad. I know people want me to do that, but I write full time. I can't put a full entire book on Wattpad. What I can do is write short stories, so they have something to read that is finished and completed and free, but I can't put like a whole book on there. So I do still respond to all my Wattpad. Like, people ask me questions, I always try and respond. I still share advice with people. There's people who are aspiring writers who get in touch with me, and I give them advice on approaching agents and editing their work and stuff like that. So I'm still very much part of the community. I don't perhaps share as much as I used to. I still write the occasional short story or blog post, but not as much.
Do you have a free team or a beta group?
No, I do not have beta readers, which is, I don't know, Wattpad was my beta reader kind of platform, I guess, because every time I read a chapter, I'd get a whole ton of feedback back, and that was amazing. It was so encouraging. But I don't know. I think the way I write, I don't know. I think I would find it hard at this point, considering that I have deadlines now, to start getting feedback halfway through writing it, because I'll end up getting tied up and trying to change things and fix things as I write. And also, I think I'm at the stage now where it would be kind of tricky to have beta readers, just in case stuff leaks, people find out what's going to happen next, and unless I've got like a trusted group of friends, perhaps. But at the moment, it's kind of nerve-wracking because, for example, the Inquisition, only like maybe 5 or 6 people have read the Inquisition. Maybe a bit more because I've had some copy editors go for it. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. I can't tell if it's good, if that makes sense. Like, I know it's good in my heart, but I like haven't had people read it and tell me it's good. So I'm kind of anxious about what's going to happen when it comes out. I know that my publishers in America have already released some advanced reading copies of it. Just a few, I saw like one person tweet a picture of it in their like advanced reading copy pile. So it's going to be exciting to see. But yeah, at the moment it's just me writing it, and only my editors really get to see it at the end. And that's it.
Okay. The next question is: is there any talk about a movie for this series?
So we've definitely had some interest, but we haven't had a kind of an offer really that basically my agent. I have a film agent in the US and I have a book agent in the US and the UK. My main agent's based here in the UK. And we haven't had anything that my agent would accept yet. But we have had some interest from at least 2 different groups, effectively.
When you complete the Summoner series, what do you think you're going to write about next?
God, it really depends. I've got 5 different ideas that I might pursue in terms of my next series. Some of quite a few of them are science fiction. 1 or 2 of them are kind of historical fiction. Not really much in the way of fantasy. There's one story that's quite heavy, quite heavy on the fantasy. And I'm just trying to decide between them. I can't tell you guys too much about what I'm planning on doing next, but I also have ideas for what would happen in the Summoner world if my publishers decided that I should continue writing in that world or not, or if my agent decides that maybe it would be better for me to try something new. I know some authors, what they'll do is they'll write a trilogy and then they'll leave it for a few years, pursue other things, and then they'll come back to that trilogy and expand that universe. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I definitely have ideas. I'll put it that way.
Right. The next question is, why did you decide to start the book the way that you did?
I guess it starts off with Fletcher in his village, and you find out a little bit about his background. He was abandoned as a baby without even a blanket out in the snow outside the village, and it's kind of a mystery how he got there because the village is really small, it's really secluded, it's up in the mountains. So, you'd know if someone was pregnant and then their baby was just left out there. So he doesn't know who his parents are, how he got there. He's adopted by the local blacksmith who's called Berdon, and he's this like really big, bluff, red-headed, bearded guy who he's kind of a mentor, kind of a father, and it's just a really good way for you to understand Fletcher's background. And also, it's very important to the plot of the story. Fletcher ends up, I can't really spoil it. He basically ends up committing a crime of sorts. It's not really something that he did wrong, but he ends up kind of running from the law, and that actually comes back to being very important in book 2 and 3. I can't really say much more than that. But so it's not actually, it actually is quite relevant to the plot, but it also sets up Fletcher as a character, it sets up his journey, and it sets up his past as well, which is also, you find out about Fletcher's past and where he came from in book 2 as well. So you'll after you've read book 1 and you start reading book 2, you'll see like, oh, so that's why all that stuff was kind of in there. Yeah.
Okay. Book 1 ends on a cliffhanger that killed me. Will book 2 end the same way?
Yes. It's a terrible cliffhanger. But it's not a cruel one. It's kind of like a what's gonna happen next one, rather than like a, I don't know. I think if you read the book, you'd understand what I'm trying to say. It's not like a horrible one. It's kind of like a, oh my god, what's gonna happen? I guess it's kind of like the end of Maze Runner, where you're kind of like, oh, like where is this gonna go from here? Like where do they go, kind of thing. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. How much research did you have to do for the weapons used in the book?
Quite a bit. Actually, I've done more research for the weapons in book 2 and 3. But with book 1, I definitely wanted to pick a cool weapon for Fletcher that was unique, that not everybody uses, not just a standard sword. So that's why he uses a khopesh. I also did a lot of research, not necessarily for the weapons, but the demons. I did a lot of research on kind of mythical creatures from around the world. That took up a lot of my time. I even have like a map, a demonology map of like all the different species and how they're related that I work with, which is very important for book 2 and 3. But yeah, the weapons were kind of important, especially when you're looking at gunpowder weapons and how they work and how this kind of 17th, 18th century warfare worked. I guess the book kind of takes place in the middle of a kind of Napoleonic era, kind of in terms of the time, the level of technology. So that's kind of exciting. So yeah, I did quite a bit of research, but I ended up just not using it all, I guess.
How much touring will you be doing for book 2, and will you be coming to the States?
I don't know. I would love to. It's totally up to my publishers, though. I know that they do book tours quite often with authors. I know that it's far more likely that I come out for book 2 or 3 than it is for book 1, because it's very difficult to get people to come to a signing event for a debut author that they haven't heard of before. So I just don't know. I'm waiting to see if my publishers say yes, or not even say yes, just invite me out. But I always find excuses to visit the States anyway, so I could easily just kind of say, okay, I'm rocking up to Barnes & Noble, I'll be signing some books there, and let Barnes & Noble know to order some extra copies. So it might not be necessarily a statewide tour or a US-wide tour, but I definitely plan on kind of doing something fun in the US, probably in New York. Yeah.
Is the next one going to stay aimed at the middle grade, lower teen audience, or are you going to go darker and more into romance in book 2?
I'd say yes, but only to a very kind of minor degree. I wouldn't say it gets kind of love triangle-y, typical YA romance-y type of thing. I think that the romance level does increase slightly. Book 1 is almost devoid of romance, just a few little moments. Book 2 certainly has more of that in it. And I guess it is darker just because of the events that transpire, but not necessarily because, you're killing off loads of characters and, everything's horrible. It's just the themes are perhaps a little darker.
And the last question for me is, what kind of swag is there for the novice, and where can we find it?
Oh, man. So there's signed book plates. I signed about 100 book plates in the US, but I don't have any control about like what happens with them or where they go. Because I visited my publishers when I did my big tour, and so I went over across 22 states in 30 days when I was in the US, just kind of traveling around just to get to know the states because I'd never been there before. It wasn't really a book tour, although I did sign a bunch of books. So I've signed a bunch of book plates. There's going to be some short stories. I don't know if that counts as swag, but there'll definitely be some short stories to read. And I don't know, maybe there will be some crochet dolls to give away. I have no idea though, but maybe. We'll have to see.
Awesome.
And yeah, that's. I guess that I guess some of the swag might be to have a preview of what happens in book 3 potentially, which could be kind of cool.
Ooh.
It's all up in the air. Nothing's for definite yet, so I can't really predict it.
Right. Karen, did you have any other questions?
No, he pretty much answered. He answered my question about the weapons. What about those little salamander things y'all said were in Russia? Those are swag.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, they are awesome.
Yeah, they were in Poland, and
Poland.
yeah, they. So I can't. I'm not sure how many they printed off actually, but there were. I definitely have seen pictures of them all over Warsaw, which was kind of cool. Because that's my Polish publisher. I don't think it's not in their interest to kind of give away a bunch to a bunch of American guys. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a 3D file that I own that the publishers can use if they like, but actually 3D printing is really expensive. Like this little model here, which I printed myself, costs £13, which I guess is the equivalent of like $20 to you guys, maybe $18. Which is kind of expensive. I mean, I love it, so for me, it's worth it. But I don't think it makes. I think that's about how much my book costs, so it doesn't quite make sense to start giving those away. So yeah, but maybe there's a cheaper way of doing it. I don't know.
You need like the novice store. We can buy the novice stuff. Very cool. That would be awesome.
The cloak. I want the cloak.
Yeah, I mean, I wish there was. It's just a bit to tell. Once I finish book 3, and I've kind of handed that in, and the kind of publicity campaign starts getting underway, then I'll know a bit more. I'll start coming up with some ideas. There is going to be a book trailer that I worked on with Małgorzata Gruska, the artist who did the front cover. I just finished it. I don't know if it's going to be released within the next week or two, or whether it's going to be released closer to the launch of the Inquisition. It hasn't really been decided yet. But I can tell you that it's really, really cool. It's like a minute and a half long, and it has like loads of moving images. It's kind of animated. I don't know. I really like it. So there's that to look forward to as well, I guess.
All right. Well, if you guys want to check out the novice, now I'm getting lovely feedback. If you guys want to check out the novice, the link is on the event, and I will post it to YouTube as soon as this is over, and definitely check it out. It was an awesome book, and we thank you so much for coming on, and I hope we'll see you back for book 2 and 3.
It looks like
thank you very much.
Book 2 comes out May 10th, right?
Woo, May.
Yes, it does.
May's a good month.
Quite soon, kind of.
For a release.
Yeah, it is a good
month. Hopefully it'll be a BEA. That would be awesome.
Yes. Yeah, is there any chance that you're coming to BEA?
I don't know. I can't say. I haven't been invited for anything yet, but I may very well do. It's probably a bit early to say. Fingers crossed, though. If I'm invited, I will come.
We're going to BEA this year. Live, do, or die. I'm going to BEA this year, so that would be awesome.
We'll see. I may very well come. I know that my publishers are keen to get me out there, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, hope to see you there. And thanks again for coming on.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Taran.
Bye.
And again, if you guys check out The Novice, definitely do so because the book was awesome. Definitely get the boys to read because the boys need something to read.
Yeah, I love that it looked like the cover looks like a video game cover. You know, it's just got a lot of those elements in it. So definitely trying to get my boy into reading.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for hosting, Jessica. This was fun.
It was. I thought it was kind of cool about when he said the thing about, you know, going back and forth between the cover. And I'm like, because I did that constantly.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nice to have like where the author actually puts his, you know, has a lot of input into what the cover looks like, because then it actually represents what he had in mind when he was writing it. Which sometimes you don't get that. You know that, you know, when they're describing a blonde girl and there's a brunette on the cover, it's like, what were they thinking? Yep. Did they even read the book?
Oh yeah, they can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. All right, well, thanks guys for watching, and share it and download the book, and we'll catch you guys later.
Okay, bye.